Thank you so much. Thank you very much for being here. My name is Bree Shalito. I'm the Director of Financial Wellbeing for Ent Becoming Wings Credit Union. And I'm so excited to be joined today by Brad Lynch, former FBI agent, also with Wings Credit Union here from Minnesota. This is a very important topic, and we know that scams are more sophisticated than they've ever been. So we're very excited to bring this information to hopefully make you feel more confident when dealing with that information and being presented with that information. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here. Thank you to those joining us virtually. We're very excited. Today, we'll talk about a few things. Some of our main takeaways, and you should be seeing this on your computers there in front of you in person, are going to be how scams work, how these fraudsters are getting you to click on things, take a look at things, and sometimes provide your personal information and even your money. How to protect yourself from those scammers. That's a huge part of today. We're hoping that this doesn't really cause fear about what's out there, but that you're provided with confidence to deal with that. And also help and resources to not only help yourself, but to help those that you love as well. So very excited. I want to go ahead and pass it over to Brad Lynch, as I said, former FBI agent, but currently the Director of Fraud Investigations and Recovery for Wings Credit Union, who can introduce himself as well. Thank you, Brad.
Thank you. So as you can see on the screen there, I was raised in a military family. My dad was in the Navy, so I joined the Army. Served 5 years in the Army as an Arabic linguist, transitioned over to the FBI, did 21 and a half years, worked all these different types of violations, we call them, finally ending up about 12, 13 years in what we call white collar crime. But this type of things that we're talking about would fall under white collar crime. I'll tell a quick joke only because we're getting ready to get into some serious stuff. So a little levity first. So there was a son who was getting married. So he called his mom and said, "Mom, I'm engaged. So I'd like to have lunch." So they decide the time and the place, and so she shows up, and he's sitting there with three women. So she sits down, and they have a few drinks, and he says, "Okay, gals, well, you can go." And so she says, "What's this all about?" And he says, "Well, Mama, I'm trying to tell if you can tell which one of these ladies is my fiance." And she said, "Well, that's easy. It's the redhead in the middle. How were you able to tell? She's the one I didn't like." Now, that being said, we do want to get into how scams work, how to protect yourself. Oh, actually, we're going the different way. We want to go next. There we go. So a scam is simply deception, right? It's a lie. Somebody's telling you or selling you a story to have you part with your money, right? So the reason we reach this target market, senior citizens, is because you've been around for a while, right? You've been responsible with your money. You have some money in the tank. And at this age, you probably have some extra doctor's appointments and medical bills, you see, right? You need to pay for that. So one of the things we've noticed is over the years, if you see that image on the far left, that's a rotary phone. Right? I grew up with that. That's what I grew up with. You guys might be familiar with the phone in Andy Griffith, right? Where Barney had to get on the phone and ask the operator to connect him. But throughout the years, whatever it is, fraudsters use the phone. Okay. And with that far one on the right, where the gal is, heck, you probably have them here with you. A smartphone, right? And a smartphone can get you on the internet. It can have you send money. You can talk to people overseas. It does a lot of things that rotary phone could not do. Okay. The average amount of time. Actually, Bree, do you want to hop in here? Because that's yours.
Absolutely. How long do you think that it takes, the average amount of time in seconds? How many seconds until a fraud scam launches for the very first person to actually click on it or fall for that scam? Any guesses? 10 seconds? If you want to put it in chat, folks, as well, we can see that.
It's not a test.
A little higher than 10 seconds. Thank goodness. 30 seconds? Pretty close. Actually, only 82 seconds, which is still very fast from the moment a fraud scam launches for the very first person to fall for it. And then moments later, many, many more people are falling for it, depending on the type of scam that's out there. We want to talk today about some of the top scams that we're seeing, not only in the world, but also at our financial institution that our members are falling for. And it's not falling for. You all are very intelligent people. You've worked very hard for your lives, for your money. We know that they're looking to get that information and that money from you. So we want to educate and talk through it. Imposter is one of the top ones. They're pretending to be someone or a company that you know and trust. And Brad, feel free to jump in anytime, but online shopping is also a big one. We see a huge uptick of that over the holiday season. Anything mentioning a prize, a sweepstakes, a lottery, that happens all the time. Investment schemes that are out there, and then also those business and job opportunities, especially after the pandemic, those remote jobs, they're sending out those opportunities all the time. So we'll talk a little bit more about each of those and what that looks like, because the one that's really come out in recent years is all about artificial intelligence, how they're using that to actually pretend to be someone else and use that person's voice. So they're actually calling people over the phone to say, hey, I'm someone you love. I'm in some sort of trouble and I need you to send money. And we're seeing that happen. The best thing you can do is actually call that person back at the phone number you know, even if it looks like they're calling from that person's phone number. Say, hey, I'm going to call you right back. If at any point they're trying to get you to stay on the line, hold that urgency with you, the best thing you can do is say, hey, I'm going to give you a call back just in 1 second. Hang up the phone, regardless of what they're saying. Call that number back, because if it is a loved one and they're in trouble, they were right on the phone right then. They'll answer. But if it wasn't, they might answer and say, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't call you. So it's better just to hang up, because if they're asking for secrecy, we see that all the time. Don't tell anyone. Don't tell my mom, but I need your help. Those are coming out all the time. They're using that to mimic those voices. The other one, as Brad mentioned, your phone is a big way they're reaching out, typically through text message lately. I'm sure many of you receive text messages like that. Either maybe a package couldn't be delivered, which is a big one, but also things like toll roads. You've driven on this toll road and need to pay, or you've gotten a ticket. Again, really looking for you to feel that urgency to do something, or there will be consequences. So sometimes it looks exactly like some of those shipping agents, UPS, Amazon. They're saying, hey, we couldn't deliver your package. And you're like, was I looking for a package? Sometimes we are. And so you click on it thinking it couldn't be delivered, but that's a fraudster. So instead of clicking on any links, and we'll talk way more about links, go directly to that shipper's website, pull up your Amazon account, take a look to see where you ordered something from, see where it is currently being shipped, and it'll say couldn't be delivered if it's true, but it likely isn't. So we're seeing that all the time as well. Yes, question. Yes. For those joining us online, the question was, it can also be a legitimate site like PayPal. Absolutely. That's happening all the time. And that's actually the next one we're going to talk about, because those payment app scams is the other thing we're seeing. What fraudsters want to do is they want to get that money from you, but in a way that they can access it, which typically is not through a legitimate way. Sometimes it's through these payment apps, like a PayPal, Cash App, Zelle, Venmo. They want you to send those. And then we're seeing that across other scams as well. They'll send you money first and say, ooh, we paid too much. Do you mind sending us $1,000 back? Well, by the time you cash the check that they sent, it was never a good check to begin with. So not only are you out that money, but now you've sent some of your own legitimate money that you've earned back to those fraudsters, which is exactly what they want. So once it's sent, sometimes it's really hard to recover. Brad sees job scams all the time.
Yeah. So obviously, you'll still get these text messages and emails, right? They try and reach everybody. They may not necessarily know your age, but they'll send you an email or a text message. Hey, easy money, right? All you have to do is, A, B, and C. And one of the items they often say is, oh, well, I'm going to send you a check because you're going to be our inventory agent. Okay. So what I need you to do is I need you to cash that check, put it in your account, send X amount back to us, and then you keep the rest. And then you buy these items for us. Well, the check is no good. Okay. That's part of the whole deal. They're trying, here's the rule to go by. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably isn't, right? Nobody makes money that easily, right? So, gift card scams. So this is another way that fraudsters can get paid. Again, part of the scam that happens is they're trying to get you to perform the transaction, okay? Because they can't get into your bank account, okay? They maybe, aren't able to breach anything, but if they can get you to perform a transaction, they'll get you believing, for example, that you owe the sheriff's office X amount of money. Oh, you didn't make jury duty, and that may come up later on. But whatever the scam is, whether you believe you owe money to pay a fine or you're paying a traffic ticket, it's never done with a gift card. A government agency will never ask you for a gift card. But what the reason they ask for this is because it's hard to track down and get the money back quickly. So they'll ask you to go to your local convenience store, Target, Walmart, wherever gift cards are sold, buy a high dollar gift card, and then they want you to scratch the code off on the back, and they want you to send a picture of the front and back. Well, as soon as that happens, they're cleaning the money out off that card, and that money's gone. And that's it. So that's why they're trying to do that. So if anybody ever talks to you about paying a bill with a gift card, that's a red flag. Don't do it. I'm just telling you right now. So another thing that they do, they build into this is stress, urgency, and perceived importance. So one of the things I mentioned was uh, a, a jury duty scam. All right. So I have a friend of mine, so we'll call him that we're in the business. Okay. So when I say that they're in the business, I mean we're in the fraud business together. And he's used to handling scams like this. So we got a phone call, and the person said, "Hey, this is Bill with the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, and you didn't make jury duty, and so now the judge has issued a fine for you. So you're going to have to pay that before you can come back into the courthouse." Well, all he's doing is he's playing on your good faith, right? Because you believe in jury duty, you believe in obeying law enforcement, okay, in the right situations, all right? But what scammers try to do is create this urgency that you're going to be in trouble. And if you don't pay this fine, then it's going to escalate to either a higher fine or even an arrest. Well, nobody wants to get arrested, right? So that's the urgency or the perceived importance in this. So they try and create this stress environment to try and force you into paying this money. So anytime these things happen, and I'll say this again and again, slow down. You don't have to make that decision. Two, always call back the number that you know. So, for example, if Hennepin County Sheriff's Office had called you, of course, that's up in Minnesota, but if the sheriff's office called you, then you just politely say, "Listen, I'm in the middle of something right now. I'll call you back in 5 minutes." Hang up the phone. That's a polite way.
Yeah, let me ask you, if someone had told you that, do you mind if I call you back in just a moment? You would have never been upset about that, right? In fact, that would have made you happy because you know these scams are out here and that person's being safe. So if that person tries to keep you on the phone and say, no, 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 it can't go, that again is a red flag. Correct. These agencies know that people are pretending to be them. So if you say, I'm going to call you back at a phone number I know for you, they won't be mad. In fact, they'll be proud that citizens are learning this information and hearing that. So don't let them make you afraid to give them a call right back, right?
Yes, 100%. So that's an easy tip. And you'll hear me say this again and again. It's so easy just to say, "Hey, listen, I'm in the middle of something. I'll call you back." And then for example, sheriff's office, research the real sheriff's office number and you call them and ask them about this. Or if your bank calls you, because Bree had referenced earlier, a spoofed number, okay? Because we often have our members get these calls from fraudsters and they spoof the number. What I mean is they're calling from, whatever their personal phone number is, but they make it look as though Ent is calling you or Wings is calling you or whatever your financial institution is.
So even if the caller ID says our name, it may not be us or the sheriff or whomever they're saying they are. Call back the number.
Right. So you can just cut that fraud off at the knees by saying, listen, I'll call you right back. And then you call the number and then you get the real person that you wanted to talk to in the first place. Oh, ask away.
So the question that came in online is if you call back the number that called you, that's spoofing that number, won't it go back to them? The answer is no. It's a fake computer phone number that's coming through. So I know that is confusing. And if you call back, you think you'll go back to them, but you'll actually be calling the right number. Their phone number is something else. It's pretending to be the phone number. So that's a computer program they're using to do that. So if you call back the right phone number, it's going to go where it needs to. That's the best thing you can do. You're not calling that fraudster back. Their phone number is something else. They're just pretending to have the phone number that they're calling from. Great question online. Thank you.
Yes. So this is an example of a text message that one of our members received. And it looks, you look at it, it mentions our name, mentions Wings, tells you to verify your account by following these instructions, right? And then it has a link there, right? Well, I can tell you right now, that's not our link, right? And whatever institution you're with, the link that you use for online banking. So you don't have to click this link, right? Anytime I get something, even from Wings or Ent, I will delete that email and then I'll go to the website that I know and love for my online banking. Because that way you avoid this link, because this link will take you on to Never Never Land, to some fraudster's website where they're trying to do it. So but the reason I have my neighbor in there, so just for example, my neighbor actually clicked on a link that she received in an email. This was on a Thursday. Friday, she gets a call from her bank. They say, hey, were you in your account this morning at 5 o'clock in the morning trying to send $72,000 to Hong Kong? Well, no. Okay. Sense the stress? Okay. Now, okay. Thanks for letting us know that. Well, listen, we're going to put people on an investigative notice. Okay. We're going to put them under investigation. So don't talk to anybody from your bank because we think that there's a mole inside. Now they're trying to get you to distrust or mistrust your own financial institution. Now what they're trying to do is gaslight you. And when I say gaslight, what they're trying to do is get you alone in a vacuum and sell you a pack of lies so they can get you to part with your money. So then, long story short, so it was this guy called Alex Parker. And I'll tell you about that in a second. But what he did was he said, well, listen, here's how we're going to catch this guy. I want you to send $72,000 to Hong Kong. And she said, but I don't want to send $72,000 to Hong Kong. He said, no, listen, it's not going to go. You send it, and then we're going to be able to see who accesses this, and then we'll be able to catch the bad guy. And after a few minutes, she agreed with that and thought, okay, I'm willing to help you out. So she goes to the bank. She has her phone on with Alex Parker listening in. She goes, this bank, I'm not going to tell you who it was, did not ask her any questions. They simply had her fill out the form. Thank you very much. Your money's going to Hong Kong. The next day, she came to me. She said, hey, I think I got hacked. What do you mean? So she explained the story. So I said, all right, here's what we're going to do. So as we're walking back to my house, Alex Parker calls. And of course, Alex Parker's a name might as well be Bob Smith, right? So I tell, hang up with him. We'll take care of this. So I sat down with her. We did a report to IC3.gov. Internet Crime Control Center is what it stands for. IC3.gov. When I was an FBI agent, I was able to go to the other side and search for things in IC3.gov. Okay. Because when you report bad emails, bad phone numbers, bad names, fraudsters, schemes, all that goes in. So what I did was I put in financial fraud kill scheme for this, or a chain, I should say, and we reported that. This on this date, she sent this amount of money to Hong Kong to this account number. Boom, 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 all the details. I said, next thing you're going to do, you're going to call the local police. You're going to put in a police report. The next thing you're going to do, you're going to call the FBI, and you're going to marry up a local FBI agent who's in this division with the report that you put in IC3.gov. Okay. So she did all that. And I said, and on Monday, because we did all this on Saturday, on Monday, you're going to go into the bank with bells on and you're going to explain what happened. So she did. The bank told her, sorry, that money's probably gone. Good news is, fast forward to Thursday, the money was back in the account. Okay. Because if you do a report on a large wire like that, $25,000 and above, you catch it within 48 hours, you report it, that money can be clawed back. Okay. It's not a guarantee, but it's a good probability. So I would use that, and I got a nice set of flowers out of it. Anyway, so that was IC3.gov. Yep, it'll be in the notes. Some more signs that it might be a scam. It mentions a problem, right? So the problem was you missed jury duty. Now you have a fine that you have to pay, right? Or the other side, right? Risk reward. Okay. Oh, well, you can make $500 off of this. Okay. Again, pressure to act immediately. You need to act now, or else this deal's going to go away. Slow down, slow your roll. You don't have to act right away. They'll give you instructions to pay a specific way. All right. Because they want to get that money quickly. And then the other thing is pretending to be from an organization, whether that's law enforcement, whether that's your financial institution, okay, whether it's something else that's familiar to you. They're trying to do this to get you to act. They try to get you emotionally screwed up into the ceiling and upset. And then it's hard to think straight. Just take a deep breath and keep rolling. Okay. Breathe. Step in.
Brad's giving great tips. And I just also want to say, if you have ever been in a scam or had something happen, it is not your fault and you're not alone. Earlier on the screen, we had a fact. It was over $12 million that had been reported. And we know that's a lot of money. Unfortunately, the truth is not everything is getting reported. And as Brad said, if we're using some of those ways to report it, then we can track those fraudsters as they go through. And then if they are caught, they have so much more against them. That helps the FBI, other agencies, hold them accountable. So avoiding it. Do not respond quickly. Yes, question. The question is, when does a scam become a criminal theft?
At the moment that money's delivered.
So typically when it happens, I wouldn't say necessarily there's any sort of dollar threshold. Certainly the more dollars, Brad mentioned the $25,000 mark is absolutely where it's getting more serious. But any amount of money that is being taken from you, any information that's being taken from you, that's a crime. So reporting that is so key. And we'll have that information on the screen here in just a moment. But the best thing you can do is take a moment. Don't respond quickly. Don't click on any links. Call or go to the website that you know. Block those unwanted calls or texts if they keep calling. If Alex Parker keeps calling, block him. We don't need to hear from him anymore. Ask more questions. Don't provide information right away. You heard from Brad. They were calling pretending to be the bank, saying, hey, there might be a mole. Right away, causing that stress, that urgency. Well, tell me more. Who, at what time was it? Asking those questions to maybe trip up the fraudster. And don't give out information when you're not expected. As I said before, no one from a legitimate organization is ever going to be mad at you for saying, I'm going to call you back in just a moment. They're going to be proud of you. So take a moment to do that, because that is meant to really cause that urgency for us. So I'm asking you to pause. We've got this rule here. Pause before responding. Take a moment to breathe. They're looking to get your heart pumping. They're looking to make you afraid. Ask questions. Use another way to verify that they're calling you from where they say they are, especially calling them back. Slow down and always exit if you're unsure. If they're trying to keep you on the phone, I understand. We're all taught to be polite, to be nice. That's great. But they're trying to scam out of some money. So it's okay to hang up on them and call back and say, hey, if you all just called, I'm sorry for hanging up on you. I'm just trying to be safe. And that's perfectly acceptable.
Bree, Brad, we actually did have a question in the chat as well. The best ways to remove your personal information from the sources that criminals use to gain that.
That's it. Boy, so it's I don't want to advocate for any particular website, but there are websites out there that will clean your information off the web. So there's a website, just for example, called People Finder, or there's one called there's a tree in it. There's a link tree. But your info, if you go to those sites, a lot of your information can be found on them. You can pay some of these sites to remove that, but actually a better way to handle that is, if you're concerned about your credit, go to the three credit sites, okay? Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. And you could go into each one of those and you could put a freeze on your credit so that the only time that credit will be used is when you unlock your credit. When it's time to come to buy a new car, you go to the dealership, unfreeze those. That way, when you apply for that loan, if you need that, then it'll be activated. And then you can refreeze it, and then you're good to go. That way, you're the only one using that credit. Okay. I do want to bang off this fella's comment about the crime. So it is a crime at any amount. And one of the things I want to emphasize is there's nothing to be embarrassed about, right? The bad guy was the other person. A lot of times, especially in the senior citizen community, we've been around a little bit, we've been on the earth longer, we've experienced more things. It's if we get scammed out of something, we tend to shrink up and we don't want to tell anybody what happened. I would encourage you to tell that story. Now, if you lose $400, hey, that's a good chunk of change. The FBI is probably not going to go after a $400 loss, but the local police will. So I would use the local police. That's why we tell our folks, if you get money taken from you by deception, report that. Put it into the police report, right? And they'll go after that.
We have another.
Go ahead.
I did read
Yes, ma'am.
I got this notice that very time. Well, I asked all
Yes.
only the one that money. Get other. Fine.
Well, yes, so the question was, do you want to do all three? I would do all three because depending on the lender, they may use or report to different credit agencies. So they may pull your report and it comes from Experian. Well, let's say that's the one that you don't have locked down. Well, that's a problem. That's going to be a loophole for the fraudster to still use your information. So if you are going to freeze your credit, I would use all three credit agencies. Oh, that's fine.
Can we share one other resource? Is annualcreditreport.com is the most frequent one to get all three very easily. As Brad said, you can go directly to those credit bureaus, each individually, which you absolutely can do, or annualcreditreport.com. And we'll have that written down a little later when we're talking more about credit freezes, because that really is a key way to keep your information safe. And if you're ever looking to unfreeze it, as Brad said, takes just minutes. You can typically do that right at a car dealership or as you're applying for something, but then no one else can, and you could add that freeze back. So if they didn't send it, I'd suggest going to annualcreditreport.com. That way you can see all three and get them that way. Right. They'd need that.
You can. So,
Yeah.
so these days, unfortunately, there's this thing called the dark web. When I was an FBI agent, I investigated a ring, and the way these guys got their information, your information, was by going on the dark web, and they simply purchased your date of birth, your name, your social security number, your address,
Even
all
for
those
children,
things.
those are going at a premium because they think no one's going to be looking at them for years.
Right. So you
Ugh.
can't. No. If there's been a breach somewhere along the line, somebody's going to try and sell it.
Yeah.
So the question is, how do we stop that? The best way is to do what you did, which is to freeze all three bureaus, and then that'll stop it.
Well, is that- Or the tenant.
Let me meet with you afterwards, and I want to see what you're talking about. So some of the things I want you to be on the lookout for. Oh, yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yep. We'll
Yep,
have
that'll
that in
come
just
up.
a moment.
Yep. So these are things for you to watch out, not only for yourself, but for others, right? We're social people. I mean, I know as you get older, I don't want to talk to anybody, but we're still social people. We work off relationships. And so I want you to look at these tips, not just for yourselves and your own accounts, but for your friends, for your neighbors, for your relatives. Okay. So sudden or explained changes in accounts, right? You may have been unaware that maybe you gave access away by clicking on a link or by having a phone call, and you gave away something that allowed them to get into your account. And then little by little, money starts going out of the account. Okay. I would encourage you to check your account every so often. And if you see expenses that show up in your account that you're not familiar with, call your financial institution, the number that you know and love, right?
And
Okay.
can I add one more thing? Because this
Yeah.
happens all the time. Often when you're calling in, you'll get, or when you're trying to log into online banking, it'll send you a code and it says, don't share this code with anyone. Often they're saying, but I need that code because they're trying to get in your online banking too.
That's right.
So it says it, do not share it. That means don't share it. Don't share it, even if you think it's us. Is there a question online, Emma?
Just a question in the chat about removing dark web personal information, if there's any way to do that.
It's really tricky. And once they have it, sometimes it's out there. Truthfully, I wouldn't worry as much about how you get your information off online because it's going to be out there. The best thing you can do is follow the tips we have here, because even if they get it, they still need to try to do something with it to get money. They still need to connect with you or put it in somewhere to receive anything. So if you're following these tips, the moment they reach out to you or they try to use it and it's frozen or you stop them, you're protected.
So, and just to cut to the chase that very quickly. So if you're in the room, raise your hand if you know what the onion router is. Anybody? Okay. All right. That you do? Okay. Are you on the dark web? Okay, good. I'm glad to hear it. Okay. Because the onion router, or also known as Tor, is the way to get into the dark web. Okay. I'm not going to encourage you to go looking for that. You will get lost and abused in the dark web. Bad things happen on the dark web. But my point is once your information is out there, you cut it off at the point of juncture, meaning go to the credit bureau agencies and freeze your credit. Okay, if you're concerned about that. Unusual withdrawals or transfers, that kind of happens with unexplained changes in accounts. Are there new individuals accessing finances? Have you put somebody new on as a joint and all of a sudden money starts going out the window, right? That's something to look for. Unexplained credit card charges. Same thing, unexplained debit card charges, because that often happens. Okay. If you have a payment app like Cash App or Zelle or PayPal, okay, If you start seeing money go out through those apps that are connected with your account, then you need to go to your financial institution and explain what's going on and dispute those if you didn't make that purchase. If you see, do you feel stressed, isolated, or confused? Okay. If you have those signs, maybe it's time to bring in a trusted friend, a trusted buddy. That can be a spouse, that can be a neighbor, that can be the kid across the street that does your lawn, who you have a good relationship with. Okay. But my point is we need to bring people into our lives that we trust and know to do these things. Spotting scams.
Yeah. The comment, just for those folks online, we actually do have a doctor in the room who has actually investigated Medicare, make sure I'm saying this right, Medicare scams. And often that chronic pain that folks are dealing with is a really isolation. Folks who are dealing with isolation are seeing that. And just some of those, that's really where those fraudsters are looking to touch base with those folks because they're isolated. Another one we didn't mention earlier, but that really does tend to happen are romance scams. They're trying to touch your heart. Say there's someone that would love to connect with you, but in order to do that, they need some money to get where you are. And we all love, but at the same time, we want to be safe. And these are just a few examples. I wanted to show you some of these because this is a text message here that we've got. It says, "Hey, it's mom. I'm in bad trouble and need your help. My phone was stolen and I'm stuck in NYC with no money. Can you send $300 via e-transfer to get me home? Don't call me. This is a borrowed phone and it's about to die. Please, this is urgent." All the things we're talking about there, those tactics. They're pretending to be your mom, emotional manipulation, urgency. They're claiming there's an emergency without even trying to call you. Why would they text you? They have your phone number. Why wouldn't they call? And even if they did, maybe it's AI. Let's call them back at a phone number we know, or even the phone number they're claiming to call from. Unusual phone number, requests for money via e-transfer. These are all those big kind of red flags. Here's another one. This is an online scam where someone's trying to sell a laptop, claiming it's brand new for $100. They say, "Oh, I don't have that one," claiming an item's unavailable, pressuring you to send payment. We see this all the time, extremely discounted price. You, of course, like anyone else, want to save money. You don't want to miss out on this opportunity. If it's too good to be true, it likely is. Another text message from the bank, just like Brad talked about. Failure to act within 24 hours may result in permanent account suspension. It's not true. Impersonating your financial institution, saying there's urgency. What you see there, one-bankinfo.com, that's not the website. You know that. So just taking a moment, breathing through it. This is one of those remote job opportunities. We're thrilled to offer you this work from home opportunity. They want to send you that $2,000 weekly to perform these small tasks, to do our onboarding process. We hear this all the time from someone that wasn't even looking for jobs. We're like, take a moment. Why would they be reaching out? So we see those tactics. They're impersonating a reputable company, offering high pay for minimal work. It's meant to look like Microsoft, but you'll see there, it's RN Microsoft. Lots of red flags here. And then this is what Brad is talking about. What to do if you're scammed.
Yep. So this goes back to what I talked about with my neighbor who had wired the money, right? So there are places you can go. If you get scammed, no matter the amount, no matter the method, you should always file a police report with your local police department, okay? Or wherever it was that you experienced the scam, okay, where you lost the money. You want to call your financial institution. Hey, I just spent $1,000 on 2 separate gift cards and sent them here, and this is what's going on. Let us know about that. If somebody spent money on your debit card, okay, and you weren't expecting that, let us know about that because that can be disputed. The IC3.gov is another one of those sites. That's the one I mentioned earlier, where I sat down with my neighbor and we put in a report. It's called a financial fraud kill chain. Now, again, those are restricted to wires that are, I think, $25,000 or higher. And you have to catch that or kind of realize this. Hey, wait a minute, maybe I've been scammed within 48 hours. That's a better chance of probability of getting that money back into your account. Federal Trade Commission, ftc.gov/complaint. You can put in a complaint on that website as well. Okay. Tell any companies that could be involved in this. If somebody's posing as Target, because maybe you buy things on a consistent basis from Target or Amazon, tell those companies, hey, this just happened to me and I lost $1,600 because of this scam that's happened. And they actually may be aware of this and are already working with the police. Okay. And again, the last part, inform your family and friends, not only protect them, but also to invite them into your life, right? Again, we're social creatures. We're made to be with each other. We're made to help each other and protect each other. So do that. I will touch just real quick on what Bree had mentioned about romance scams. I had a case when I was in the FBI. This lady, and again, because at this age, especially, we've become accustomed to having our lifelong companion, right? But then maybe you get widowed or divorced or something else happens. Nobody likes being alone, again, because we're social creatures. Well, then who watches for this? The fraudsters try and contact you on Facebook, on these different dating apps, okay? Silver singles, right? Or whatever it is. And so they'll try and reach out to you. I had a victim when I was an FBI agent. She lost $850,000. That wasn't all at once. That was because the guy was pretending to be a US citizen who was on a contract in Thailand and he hadn't been paid yet. And so then he got hurt. And so he just needed a little money because, he had to go to the local doctor. So it starts off at, small, $50, $100, $200, and it ramps up. And she lost her entire pension because she believed that this guy really had her best interests at heart. And my tip for that is if you're in this romance online, see the way I met my wife, kind of traditional, but I actually got to meet her and we held hands and shared a little kiss under the moonlight. That's a romantic relationship. It's not somebody who's miles away who's simply trying to con you out of money. Okay. Bree. Yes.
Oh, sorry, real quick. We had a question in the chat if it's recommended to compartmentalize or kind of segment out our personal financial accounts so that the bank accounts we link up to those payment apps like Zelle and PayPal only have access to a small amount of our money rather than our primary accounts.
Well, that's actually a really good idea. And that's actually something that I do. I have an app that's connected to a smaller account. I only put so much money in there.
Even when you're using to buy things online, that
Yes.
debit card that's associated, or even using something like a credit card to buy things online, that way, if they get a hold of that number, it isn't directly connected to all the money you've earned.
Right.
Great idea.
Yeah. So have a card. I'll get you in just a second. That's restricted to maybe, I don't know, $400 or $500 or whatever your limit is that you're willing to go, okay, I'm willing to risk this. But again, if it happens on a debit or a credit card, those are disputable and you can contact your financial institution. You got a question, sir?
That's a great question. So the question was, if our information may be on the dark web already and we're freezing our credit reports, is it pertinent to do online banking versus getting those statements mailed? I want to assure that both methods are safe. And in fact, sometimes we've seen fraud through the mail, and I'll talk about that in just a moment if they get a hold of that statement. So if you are receiving paper statements, not that that's a bad thing, you just want to make sure they're coming every month. And if they didn't, That could be a sign that someone got a hold of it. So online banking is very safe, and it actually does lead me right into some of these things, because physical safety, shredding items, or at least blacking out the information that has your name, address. We're not seeing mail fraud as much, but we're still seeing it. It also would recommend, if you don't have a shredder and you're looking to shred something up, you can even hand shred it. Put it in 2 different trash bins, one in the bathroom, one in the kitchen, because then if somebody gets a hold of that bag of trash, not all of it's in there. Maybe a mailbox lock. Sign up for e-statements is a good idea. Keep track of those deliveries that are coming your way. Physical safety. When we're actually putting things in to maybe the ATM, or we're using our debit card, make sure we're kind of blocking that PIN number for those around us that are seeing it. We want to choose a strong PIN number. Avoid things like birthdays. Look out for those devices. Many of the cards now have tap technology. It'll be that chip. And if you can tap it, because what we've seen over the years, they're called skimming devices. Often it's at things like ATMs, even gas pumps. It's where when you insert your card, it can take the information. So the more you can tap, the better. Make sure you're using a password on your phone, especially those with smartphones. So much information is on our phones. So if we're password protecting that, and if someone gets a hold of it, they can't get into those banking apps, your Amazon account, anything you've got on there. Just always be aware of your surroundings. Yes, sir. Well, so online banking, or what the question was if you just get those statements in the mail. So those statements that they mail to you from your bank. So you can either access those through online banking and get e-statements. So it'll send you an email when your statement's ready, or you can have them mailed to you. Both of those are safe methods, but sometimes someone can get a hold of them if you've given them access either through your email or it gets in the mail. You're exactly right. Just, yeah, the online banking. That's a great question. The question was, how common is it that if someone's standing near you, we've seen those, is it RFD? Is that the RFID, where it can actually block? There have been devices in the past that can kind of get some of those numbers off of those. Many of the new chip cards, that's why those came out, are meant to scramble them into those systems, which is why the technology is always improving, because we saw that as an issue. So we've really looked to solve that with those cards. So if you don't yet have a chip card and your institution offers it, I would suggest getting it updated. Make sure, did you have a question?
No.
Okay. Make sure you're using a password, be aware of your surroundings. And if you have any way that if that phone is lost or stolen, where you can actually get into it online and wipe that phone, that's best. And that's what that password protection. Social media, Brad mentioned the romance scams we see through that, also through dating sites, but sometimes it's as simple as someone seeing things like, hey, going on vacation for 2 weeks. What does that tell someone? Tell someone I'm about to be away from my house for 2 weeks. What we recommend, go have an amazing time on your vacation, take all the photos, share them when you get home. Definitely recommend that. Be cautious of anyone wanting to join and be your friend that you don't know. You're then giving them information. You just want to use caution, especially when you're buying things online. We've also seen it where sometimes they're fun, but there's those quizzes you can fill out online to say your first pet's name and the first car you drove. It's fun to let people know that information, but those are also security questions that you put into online banking. So sometimes a fraudster made that quiz so that they can get information about somebody else. This one's a big one, and I'm going to pass it to Brad because email safety is where we see a big amount of fraud.
So I'm going to depart from the presentation here for just a second. But before I do that, I wanted to answer a little bit more. So I actually carry a card in my wallet. And it actually, this is specifically with the device she was talking about, where scammers will try and get close to you so you can suck the information off your card. Now I carry kind of a thin, I mean, maybe this is thick for you, I don't know. But it can't happen in a George Costanza wallet, Seinfeld, you know what I'm talking about, not one that's going to send you the chiropractor. I just keep a thin wallet. I have a card in here, and you can search for this online. I don't want to advocate anybody's company, but where it gives off a blocking device, right? So 3 centimeters either way, and those cards are safe. Okay. There are also wallets out there that protect, you can put all your cards in there. It's kind of a sliding thing and it blocks any signal from coming in. I'm going to see, I'm going to minimize that for a moment.
Oh.
Those are great.
Yep, you can use those too.
Okay, that way.
Some of them are paper and some of them are made of something a little more complex, meant to protect the card. But if you want to be sure, you can call the company that provided it to you, or use one of these cards that I'm talking about. Can you see my email on here? Is that showing?
Yeah, the one thing we gotta do is just end the slideshow. That's okay. Get in there.
Well, yeah, let's go back to on slide 37. Okay, let's come back.
Yep, absolutely. And then let's scoot over here. Now they're saying
Okay.
yours. Perfect.
All right. So my universal name for a fraudster is Peanut Wiggins. You need to know that. Okay. So anytime I talk about Peanut, I'm talking about a fraudster. All right. But oftentimes you'll get emails and some people know this already and some people don't. So that's why I'm sharing this. So I get this email and it says, "Oh, well, UPS, my daughter said she was sending me a package, so I should be tracking this. I'd like to know when this is coming." Okay, track packages from UPS. It has their icon on there, right? Looks legit. All you need to do is take your mouse and you hover over that. Peanutwiggins.com. I don't want to go to Peanut. I wanted to track my UPS package. So if you just hover over that link, it will reveal what the real website is. Okay. So another one, follow up, abandoned property, to find you well, invoice not received a response. Oh no, I need to assist these people. So they've sent a link. So again, we're going to hover over getting rich off of grandpa.com. I don't want to go to getting rich off of grandpa.com. Now, obviously, I'm just doing tongue in cheek, going straight to the heart of the matter. But if you see a website that doesn't list where you thought you were going, just delete that email. And better yet, you probably have a function to send it to spam or mark it as spam and then get rid of it. You don't have to go there. Okay. Let's go back in here, go back to number 37. And yeah, okay. Oh yeah, roll right.
We'll get there.
Thank you for your patience on that. So I will tell you while she's getting there, another thing, remember the wire scam we talked about? My neighbor went into the bank and they just took her information and sent that money right off dutifully. All right. I train our folks to ask questions. Okay. And often, so one of the scams that's going, just one, is they'll say, "Hey, this is Wings or this is Ent or whatever your bank is." They'll say, "Your money's not safe right now. So here's what I need you to do. I need you to," and I'm cutting to the chase here. They're selling a story and they've got you to the point where you believe that your money isn't safe in your own financial institution. It's been safe the whole time, but they've convinced you otherwise. People have gone to the bank, taken out $10,000 at a time and fed it into a cryptocurrency machine because they're being told that Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, that's the best way to keep your money safe and no one will ever be able to track it. Your money was already safe in the first place. Nobody can get to it. If somebody gets into your account, there are ways that can be replenished. Okay. Unless you gave away what happened there. Okay. But my point is if you go to one of our service centers or even at your own branch, your own financial institution, and those people are asking you questions, they're not trying to get up into your business or cause friction for you. They're trying to protect the income and the assets that you've accumulated over the years. And so we're trying to keep that safe.
Yeah, specialty trained, especially at your financial institution. Yes, sir. No, great comments.
Hmm.
And does it typically say scam likely or spam? That's actually many of the cell phone companies. That's a good thing. It's saying, hey, this might not be legitimate. I will say sometimes it's a company that's calling a lot of people. So it doesn't mean for sure it's a scam. So it's a good idea just to be cautious. Yes, that's a great one. So now, especially Brad showed you how to hover, but we already told you, don't click on any links. Go right to the website. It'll tell you that too. It's not some secret that got emailed over. Online, we want to be careful about using some of those public Wi-Fi, especially when we're accessing things like our bank account. Other people could be on that too, so being careful of that. Often what happens when you're clicking on those links, sometimes it's putting actual software into your computer where it's following you. So that's why we don't want to click on those. Or attachments. No attachments, no links. Let's call the person first. Just being careful when we're online. I know it can be so frustrating when you're trying to get in somewhere and it wants to send you an email or a code and you're like, can't I just get in here? Yes, but that's for your security. Those are great to have on there because if a fraudster, if Peanut Wiggins is trying to get into your online banking and he does not have your phone, he can't get that code. So it's a good thing to be getting that extra verification, making sure we're keeping track of our passwords. We've already mentioned a lot of this, and I'm just trying to respect everyone's time here, but how to protect your identity, track those things, log in, because this is that big one. If someone does steal your identity, making sure you report it, even those small amounts, you're still helping to build a case against that fraudster. Report it. Don't be embarrassed. Reporting to those bureaus, putting that freeze on there, contact those companies, the police. That's how we begin to help restore that damage. We'll get to questions in 1 second, just so I can get through if people have to leave here in a moment. Staying safe, making sure we're not sharing this information. But I want to stress especially the bottom one, your online banking credentials. Your bank and credit union will never ask you for your username or password. That's not something we need. We have that information. We're good. If they're asking for it, it's likely that they're a fraudster. But keeping your information safe, not sharing that with anybody is a big deal. But here's the one I really wanted to focus on because this is all about those credit freezes. Annualcreditreport.com is listed. Make sure we're looking. We also want to be sure that when we're pulling that up, that every bit of information on there is yours. Every name, every address, every workplace. If something does not look right, you want to dispute it because even if it isn't hurting your credit today, that means something is wrong on there and it could hurt it in the future. They may be waiting. Do you want to add more, Brad?
Sure. So we're coming up near the end here. One of the things that I want to make sure we emphasize is the whole idea that slow down. You don't have to, you don't need to go the speed of the fraudster. The fraudster, Peanut, is trying to make you go fast so that you're not thinking about what you're doing.
Don't let Peanut rush you.
That's right. Stop rushing me, Peanut.
Yeah.
So again, you don't have to be rude, but it's totally reasonable to say, hey, listen, I'm in the middle of something. I'm going to call you back. And then you call the number that you know. Okay. Sometimes you start thinking, wait a minute, did they call me or did I call them? Listen, I'll call you right back. And then you get the number that you know. And then you get in touch with the people that you know and love at your financial institution that are already protecting your money. Email, maintain your password. Okay. Breed mentioned, don't give away your username and your password to somebody. Okay. That violates our account services agreement, right? Because we don't need someone else getting in your account. We trust that if you have online banking credentials, that it's you getting in your account and not your new girlfriend in Romania. Okay. We want to protect your money. So that's where we need your help. And so slow down, call the number back that you know and love, hover over a link, right? And if it's on the phone, if you got a message on a phone, you don't have to click the link in that phone. I'm not sure if there's Somebody told me that you can hover on a phone somehow. I haven't found how to do it.
The hard part is you have to hold it down,
Right,
accidentally click it.
exactly.
So it's just better.
So that's right.
Yes.
So just delete that text and call whatever the message was. Let's say it was coming from Target. Well, you call the number that you know for Target or whoever you deal with over there. Okay. Or your financial institution or whoever it is. But that's the best way to handle that. Okay. Bree, anything else?
Just want to say thank you all so much for coming. I want to respect everyone's time. We are right at 12:02, but we're here to still answer some questions. So if you're still with us online or in person, we thank you so much. And we're happy to answer those questions. We're in no rush to get out of here, but just want to make sure that it's totally okay if you need to head out. We've provided some lunch in person if you need to grab that. And really want to thank our folks online. But now we'll open it up to questions, especially for Brad. Thank you all so much.
Oh, ask away. We're here. And if